everyone, welcome back to our electric vehicle car shopping extravaganza, overall hunting experience, and shopping for
our next electric car.
Now, we have test driven a lot of different electric vehicles, and this whole video series is going through our pros and cons of our vehicle test drive experience, as well as research we've done to get to the point of potentially buying one of these cars. And now this video is the overall experience of test driving the Volkswagen ID.4 all-wheel drive Pro S, which I think I got that swapped. It's Pro S all-wheel drive.
Yes.
So we're going to be talking about the pros and cons of that experience. Obviously, if you follow our channel, you know that we have a rear-wheel drive ID.4 First Edition. So we got a chance to drive the all-wheel drive version of the ID.4 in California. And man, was it night and day in terms of how the vehicle accelerated.
It was.
Yes.
I think that kind of leads into our first pro, but also kind of con at the same time. So with the all-wheel drive ID.4, obviously compared to our rear-wheel drive, there was a big, you can notice a big power difference between, there's 100 horsepower more in the all-wheel drive. So that was really nice. The only thing is, if you get the all-wheel drive ID.4, if you want the full power potential, you have to be 80% state of charge or higher. So 80 to 100%, which to me doesn't make any sense. Like, I want the power to be there up until, I don't know, maybe 10%, ideally. It's kind of how a lot of cars work, right? 5 to 10%, then you go into like turtle mode, for example. Yeah. But the ID.4, you're in turtle mode from 0 to 79%. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, and that was actually news to me. I found that out when we were watching Kyle's video comparing, or Kyle from Out of Spec Motors comparing the Ioniq 5 to the ID.4 all-wheel drive Pro S, which I keep swapping that, but I'm going to go with it. Then Kyle mentioned that, and I was talking to Tyler, and yes, that is the case. They limit your power from 0 to 79, and give you full power from 80 to 100, which to me is a little ridiculous. But the thing is that like it won't be like a drastic cut in power. You just won't be able to get the full amount of power that you would if you had a higher state of charge. So don't worry that like you will lose all power between 0 to 79. It's just, for whatever reason, Volkswagen has the motor's power to do that. So that is a con. But I will say, with us driving the ID.4 First Edition rear-wheel drive for almost a year now, the acceleration was night and day between rear-wheel drive and all-wheel drive. I personally didn't drive the vehicle just because we have the experience with the ID.4. The suspension is set up exactly the same between the rear-wheel drive and all-wheel drive. But when Tyler punched it in the all-wheel drive, it was one of those moments I'm like, wow, it's nuts, the difference between the two.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, a lot of the pros of the ID.4, just for having one for nearly a year, is it still retains a very comfortable, serene, and quiet cabin. And it still reigns true for the all-wheel drive. We definitely appreciate that on a daily basis. Even just around town driving, I still appreciate how comfortable and how quiet it is.
Yeah.
And it still rides and drives the exact same as our rear-wheel drive. You might notice a little bit of difference with the turning radius is a little bit less than the all-wheel drive, but the ID.4 still has the most amazing turning radius I've ever experienced in a car. It's still hands down my favorite. It's so nice.
Yeah, and I'm really hopeful that whatever vehicles Volkswagen comes out with on that MEB platform have the same turning radius, especially if it is a larger vehicle than the ID.4, because it just makes driving a breeze, parking a breeze, and it just really simplifies handling overall. Very impressed with it, and it is a good showstopper. If you are trying to brag about how your vehicle handles, a lot of people it's well known within the EV community that the ID.4 has that type of turning radius, and you might end up displaying it for people, which I know we have a lot.
Times.
But with that being said, in terms of the power upgrades, I actually think it would be worth going with the all-wheel drive instead of the rear-wheel drive. Pro and Pro S, the First Edition is no longer available, so those are the two other trims that you would be looking for. But overall, the vehicle pretty much remains the same between the rear-wheel drive and all-wheel drive. Obviously, the vehicles have different packages, and the one that we drove, I believe, was the all-wheel or the Pro S all-wheel drive with the gradient package. So it had the vinyl or the it's not leather. What do they call it again with Volkswagen?
Now I'm blanking on it.
Yeah.
It's leatherette material.
Yes, leatherette material.
I'm blanking on the actual name, but it's still the same materials on the inside and outside as our rear-wheel drive. It's just really the only two major differences are you have the extra motor up front, still no frunk, which is kind of a con.
Yeah.
And, then you have the added traction with, the extra motor, which is nice. And then you also notice there's a little bit of a ride height. You sit a little bit higher than our standard rear-wheel drive ID.4, and that's kind of about it. So the ID.4 still, and this is a big, pro for us, is the features to price ratio is honestly probably the best that I can really think of. With me, maybe a few exceptions in the market, but like the ID.4 has so many features for the price, even just the base model.
Yes. Yeah, and obviously you do have some trade-offs with the ID.4. It doesn't charge as fast as the other vehicles that we have on our list. It still charges at a green 6, or for 2022 they upgraded it to 135 kilowatts max, which does 0 to 80% in about 38 minutes. If you arrive to a charger, typically you won't arrive at 0% anyways, but you're still looking at that range. But overall, that's why we continue to recommend the ID.4 to drivers, because starting at a price under $40,000 before federal tax credit for the base model, and then as you move into the Pro S and get into like the different drivetrains, it does get expensive, but it still undercuts all the competition in terms of what you get. So overall, Volkswagen did a fantastic job with the ID.4 and the features that it offers for that price point. And that's honestly why we have it on our list, because we have enjoyed our ID.4 first edition rear-wheel drive. And the only downside with ours is that we did purchase a very early build, so we are running into some quality issues. But from what we've heard, the newer vehicles are built more solidly, and just overall people are having a better experience than what we've encountered. But there is a con to the ID.4, and it goes back into the availability.
It does.
And that's kind of just what we're looking at, and this is where we're still kind of wondering how Hyundai and Kia does it, because they have ready available inventory. And now that's right now. Obviously things could change as the vehicles become more popular and people purchase them. But the ID.4 is a long time wait in terms of when you order it. If you're lucky and you find them at a dealership, you can obviously purchase it that day. If someone canceled an order, you could pick up that. But a lot of people are waiting months for their all-wheel drive ID.4s.
Yeah.
And with where we stand with our vehicles, it just kind of goes to see how that timeline plays out.
Yeah.
So it's just one of the cons at the moment, but it's out of our hands in terms of when we can do that. So.
But overall, the ID.4 is still something that we definitely recommend to a lot of people, especially the newer builds, that have been in production for, a while. There's been a lot of issues that we're experiencing that have been completely resolved. So we always recommend this car. But how do you feel about where it lands on the list? Even though we've had a rear-wheel drive for, 8-9 months now.
Yeah, I almost just flat out said it's definitely on the list, but it's in the middle. I would say it's probably after the Polestar 2. I would say it's at the moment ahead of the Model Y and the Model 3, and the only reason I say that is because I really like how the ID.4 handles, and I like the suspension. Obviously, the Model Y and Model 3 have a lot of different features that make it the better vehicles, but they are more expensive than what the ID.4 offers. I would say it's definitely up there, but I think it's a vehicle that could get us cross-country. It has plenty of storage space in the back. The seats fold flat, which is good, for our stuff. But that's kind of where it lands for me.
Yeah.
I'm still kind of gunning for the Ioniq 5 and EV6. But that's, the ID.4 is a fantastic value, and I would say if you're in the market for an electric vehicle, I would get that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially for the price.
Yes.
Especially for the price.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, that's pretty much going to be it for this video. We have our ownership videos of our ID.4 First Edition on our channel. So if you want to learn more about our experience and where we stand after almost 10 months of ownership with the vehicle, definitely check out those videos. We definitely dive into the problems that we face, into the good aspects, and just pretty much overview of what it's like to own an ID.4.
Yeah.
So... But as always, if you like this video, make sure you like and share with your friends. And as always, please consider subscribing to Everyday EV. We're excited for all the content that we're producing, especially this EV shopping extravaganza. And as always, take care, stay safe, and
make every day electrifying.
And we'll see you in the next car shopping video.